Today, we're diving deep into the world of fearful avoidant attachment, the attachment style most commonly linked with the push pull or hot and cold behavior we see in relationships.
By the end of this video, you'll understand why you behave this way, what's happening beneath the surface, and actionable steps for healing and building healthier relationships.
Attachment styles are like a subconscious playbook for how we give and receive love. They form in early childhood based on our relationships with our caregivers.
And fearful avoidant attachment, sometimes called disorganized attachment, is the most complex. It's characterized by an intense desire for love and connection, but also an equally strong fear of closeness and vulnerability.
For many of us, this pattern starts in early childhood. Imagine needing comfort from a caregiver who is both a source of love and fear. This creates a confusing association. Love feels both beautiful and terrifying.
And children in these environments often grow up hypervigilant, always scanning for signs of danger or rejection. And as adults, this can lead to the push pull behavior we're exploring today.
I remember how this was explained to me during trauma training I received from another therapist who provides equine therapy. Shout out to the great Sarah Jenkins. She was discussing what the home environment might be like for a child growing up with the inconsistent parenting that someone who has borderline personality disorder might provide. She pointed to her horses in the pasture and said, "Notice that there is one entrance into their enclosure. The fence is in good repair. The electric fence comes on at the same time every evening and stops at the same time every morning. They have a secure environment and they know what to expect." Now imagine that they're in a space in which there are several different ways from which someone could enter. So they have to constantly scan their environment to make sure no one is entering that they don't know about. There's an electric fence that is sometimes on and sometimes off. So they never know when approaching the perimeter if they'll receive a shock. This is what childhood is like for children with parents who, whether it's due to a personality disorder or some other untreated mental health issue, such as bipolar or substance abuse, are inconsistent in their expressions of love and anger. As a result, these children often become hypervigilant in their relationships. They have to constantly look around their environment to remain safe. In fact, therapists often recognize a trait many adult children of alcoholics have, which is their tendency to read the energy of another person so they can prepare themselves for the mood they might be in, just as they had to do with their parents when they were children to avoid punishment during an episode of drunkenness or shifts in their mood related to a mental health related episode. Unfortunately, they don't always get their readings correct, as we'll explore.
Let's look at what's happening internally for those of us with fearful avoidant attachment. We want closeness, but fear being hurt. We're attuned to every little shift in our partner's mood or behavior, often jumping to worst case conclusions. For example, let's say your partner comes home 5 minutes late. Then the inner monologue begins, saying, "Why are they late? Are they with someone else?" Now, for people who grew up with secure relationships modeled for them, they likely didn't even notice something as inconsequential as their partner being a few minutes late. But if they were, say, 30 minutes late, they might begin to wonder what's going on. They would handle this by asking about it directly, saying something like, "Babe, where have you been? I was expecting you 30 minutes ago." They would trust their ability to handle the conversation and the outcome. For example, if their partner said that they had a work meeting running late, they would then directly ask for what they want from their partner in the future. Perhaps saying, "I begin to worry when you're much later than I was expecting. Next time, would you please let me know when you're running late?" Or if their partner develops a consistent pattern of being late without letting them know, or with questionable excuses, they trust themselves enough to end the relationship.
However, those of us who grew up with a great deal of inconsistency from our primary caregivers, as most of us with fearful avoidant attachment styles did, rather than asking our partners directly why they're late, we might pick a fight about something unrelated or become silent and then explode with an accusation. Why do we do this when it seems so simple and obvious to just ask? It's because to address our fears through communication reveals how much we care, which feels too vulnerable. So we avoid the direct conversation and instead display these confusing hot and cold behaviors. Direct communication is often terrifying, but it's the only way a healthy partner can provide the reassurance that those of us with fearful avoidant attachment desperately crave.
The good news is these patterns can change. We aren't born pre wired to our attachment style. This is more closely aligned with nurture, not nature. And due to neuroplasticity, we have the ability to change, but it takes effort. The first step is self awareness. First, we need to recognize the cycle and how it's rooted in our past experiences and not our current partner. This is often accomplished through therapy because most often we are too close to see the pattern for ourselves. Though, if you don't feel ready to take that step, there are books you can use as tools, and this is called bibliotherapy. Since we're therapists, we're going to share how we'd address this in therapy. But at the end of this video, we'll also give you book resources you can also use. Attachment focused approaches can be transformative. Emotionally focused therapy is based in attachment theory. And with EFT, we're looking for the unconscious patterns that take place between the couple and then help them become aware of it and even give this pattern a name so when they recognize it in the future, they can name that cycle that they're falling into. Then we teach how to communicate this through practicing vulnerability, even when it's uncomfortable. For example, you might say, I felt scared when you were late. It's probably related to my past, but I want to talk about it. For more on how to communicate this, see our video on how to have a vulnerable conversation, linked above.
Identifying and challenging limiting beliefs is crucial for change. Start by noticing reoccurring thoughts such as, I'm not good enough for love, or people always leave me. Ask yourself, is this belief rooted in fact, or is it shaped by past experiences? We can use techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy, commonly known as CBT, to reframe these thoughts. Replace them with positive self talk statements, such as, I am deserving of love and connection. Practice visualization exercises where you imagine feeling safe and secure in loving relationships. These steps, repeated consistently, can help reprogram your mind to embrace healthier relationship patterns. It takes time and consistency. If you'd like to know more about this step, let us know in the comments because we'd love to dedicate a video to this process if you're interested.
If you'd like bibliotherapy for emotionally focused therapy, check out Sue Johnson's books, Love Sense and Hold Me Tight. For more direct help, you can reach out to a licensed therapist. Our number's on the screen below if you'd like to reach out to us. Remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together.
Together.